Town of Parker Building Use Tax Reconciliation. The Town of Parker requires a building use tax reconciliation to compare estimated use tax paid on the building permit to actual tax due once the project has been finished. This is reported to the town on the project cost report. If use tax paid on permit is less than actual tax due, you must remit this amount to the town no later than 60 days after the CO is issued. If use tax paid on the permit exceeds actual tax due, an overpayment may have occurred and you may be due a refund. All commercial building permits and multifamily building permits are required to complete the reconciliation process. Residential building permits may choose to complete the building use tax reconciliation process, but it is not required at this time. The construction project cost report is due to the Sales Tax Division no later than 60 days after the final CO is issued. If final project costs are not available within 60 days, please contact the Sales Tax Division to request an extension. Penalty and interest will be assessed on day 61. The construction project cost report was uploaded to your Trackit account when we received your building permit application. It is also available online at www.parkeronline.org/sales-tax. The taxpayer information is either the general contractor or the owner and needs to match the building permit. The project cost report must include all required documentation. If any documentation is missing, penalty and interest may be incurred. Line 1 includes all construction materials purchased by the contractor, the subcontractor, and on which Town of Parker sales tax was paid to a vendor. Line 2 is the total cost of fabrication labor purchased by the contractor, all subcontractors, and on which any Town of Parker sales tax was paid to a vendor. And line 3 is the total cost of rentals used on the project. This includes rentals by the contractor, the subcontractor, and any rentals on which tax was paid. Line 4 is the total of the taxable construction materials, fabrication labor, and rentals. Add lines 1 through 3 and put the total on line 4. Line 5 is the total tax due on the project. Multiply line 4 by the town tax rate of 3%. This is the total town tax due for the project, not necessarily the balance due now. Line 6 is the amount of tax that was paid on the building permit. You need to calculate this amount based on the permit valuation times 50% times the 3% use tax rate. Do not enter the total amount of use tax paid on the building permit. That was 4% and included Douglas County use tax at 1%. Line 7 is any additional Town of Parker sales tax paid. If any tax was paid to any vendors, include that total here and provide copies of all invoices showing Town of Parker tax. No credit will be granted for tax paid to other municipalities, counties, state, or special districts. Line 8 is the total credit for Town of Parker tax already paid. Enter the total for lines 6 and 7 here. Line 9 is the amount of additional tax due on the project or the amount of refund due. Subtract line 8 from line 5. If the difference is positive, this is the amount of tax still due. If the difference is negative, this is the amount of refund due. Line 10 is penalty and interest. Skip line 10 if your project cost report will be postmarked on or before the due date, or if line 9 is a refund. Penalty is calculated as the larger of line 9 times 15% or $10. Interest is line 9 times 1.5% times the number of months past the due date. Line 11 is the total currently due. Add the totals from lines 9 and 10 to calculate this amount. If additional tax is due, you need to remit this amount with your project cost report return. Failure to remit this amount could result in additional penalty and interest. The return needs to be signed and dated. Please make sure that the person signing the return has the authority to sign it under penalty of perjury. If you used subcontractors on the project, you will need to obtain a construction materials cost affidavit from each subcontractor. This form is available on our website, www.parkeronline.org/sales-tax, and has an additional webinar available if you need assistance. If you have any additional questions, please contact the Town of Parker Sales Tax Division at the information below.